Let's start over on the panel again. Mr. Rose, you have a question for Mr. Hall?
Yes, this is a question about organizing. The union recently has touted its inroads in organizing new industries, such as healthcare and municipal government workers. Are you concerned that the union is putting too much emphasis on new industries at the expense of its traditional basis of support in industries such as freight and car haul? And how do you strike a balance between organizing in industries where the Teamsters have historically represented many workers and branching out into new areas?
Well, as part of the 220,000 people that we've organized in the past 10 years, I would just point out that 12,000 of those was at a freight company that used to be called Overnight, that's now UPS Freight, the first major organizing campaign in 50 years in freight. We now are sitting across, now some of the naysayers said this wouldn't happen, but we're now sitting across the table from FedEx Freight, which a lot of people said would never happen. We're in negotiations with them. We've organized a lot of people, but you continue to hear, I don't think there's anything wrong with organizing healthcare workers and others. In fact, I think everybody deserves an opportunity to be represented by our union and to have better working conditions and better pay and benefits. Now, if my opponent can tell you which of the companies that we've organized that we shouldn't be organized and it should not be in the union, that's fine. But I've heard this core industry argument for the past 2 elections. I listened to this from one of his running mates 5 years ago. We believe everyone has a chance, but we have organized just in the past 7 or 8 years more in the core industry than there has been in the past 50 years in this organization.
Mr. Zuckerman?
Yeah, that's just not true. Organizing in core industries keep the standards up in those industries. They talk about FedEx or they talk about UPS Freight. UPS Freight was given to them when they agreed to get out of the UPS pension plan. UPS Freight has been a disaster. Worst freight contract out there. Didn't help anybody in the freight industry. What happens in the core industries, such as warehousing, such as grocery, such as freight, such as car haul, and others, if you don't keep those standards up, every time you get to the bargaining table, the first thing they say is we need concessions because we got to negotiate down here. If we were to bring these people up, it raises our standard of living, it raises our contracts, and we can put people into the pension funds, which we need to do.
Mr. Hall?
I can only respond by saying UPS Freight is the highest paid freight workers, whether they are union or non-union, in the United States of America. So how Fred can say it didn't raise them up, I don't know.